Oh,
Hello, everybody.
how are you?
I'm Baruch Hashem. Good,
Good.
good. Are we finished now with the soccer?
No, I keep
No?
I keep watching. Not
Uh, you-
today. Today there was no soccer game, but tomorrow it's an important one. France
who's
and Morocco.
is U.S. out?
Yes.
Hmm. And what happened today with Egypt?
Egypt.
What?
It's as Mitzrayim.
No, I heard that the referee or the coach
They
went
were very
nuts.
upset, and they said the managers, whatever they call in Spanish we say technical director. They're twin brothers, and they were shouting and screaming,
About what?
but I think they were screaming because of the fans from Argentina were showing Israeli flags.
Hmm. Ah, that's what it is.
I don't.
Yeah, but he's an idiot. He's a bad person. He brought the Palestinian flag, Egyptian coach.
Your sound is no good. I
Oh,
didn't.
there. How am I now?
No, no, that's it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm going to stop
Go.
Hey,
There we go.
All right. We are on 69, Samech Tes. Ze klal, davar shagufo usher. If you find something in the animal's body, like we said, like the spleen or the kidney that you cut off of the womb, that's usher. V'sheina gufo mutter. Now the Gemara understands, what does it mean? It's not part of its body. Sheina gufo lasui mai lav lasui b'hai gavna. We asked about the case where a fetus put out its leg and cut it off, and a fetus put out another leg and they cut it off. And eventually, until the majority had been cut off. And therefore, the Gemara understands the permission, meaning any remainder of the fetus, even though it's a small portion of it, is allowed through the shechit of the mother. The Gemara says, no, that's not what it's coming to permit. Lasui kol b'mei para. A cow in the womb which does not have a split hoof. It's like a mutation. I'll leave it Rab Shimon. The Avagav Rab Shimon called him para usher. When did Rab Shimon say you can't eat such an animal? If it was born. But if it was a deformed cow with a joined hoof and it's in the womb and you check the mother, you're allowed to eat it. Bar of Chananya. Hotzi Ubris Yodu Bazora. So we know the Azora is a place where you have to shech kochim. If you take it out of the Azora, and you bring it, even though you bring it back, you can't use it. So that's a concept like a limb that was extruded outside of the womb of the mother. Here, you had a kochim animal that put out a limb in the Azor mouth. Maybe you have to shecht kochim in the Azora, and maybe that's a good place even for the limb. No, the womb is the mechitza for a limb. The wall of the Azora is a mechitza for kochim, right? And the mechitza is uber imohu. The mechitza for an uber is its mother, not the Azora. If you can ask that kasha, you can ask kochim kalib Yerushalayim. Like a shlamim can be eaten anywhere in Yerushalayim. So just like if before you shechted it and put its limb out, It could be the same question. Why didn't you ask the question? Because the mechitzas uber imo, they more understood that the mother is considered the boundary for the fetus. So no difference. In the Azara does not become the mechitza for the limb, but it's rather the womb of the mother. Boyelfo. Hotzi uber is yodu bein simen l'simen. We know for shchita you need two simonim, the trachea, the esophagus. So you shechted the trachea, then it put its limb out, and then you shechted the esophagus. Ma. Mim it starts simen rishon l'simen sheni. Do we say that just like for the uber inside, you add the two simonim and you can eat it, not just to eat it, but the harmide nevela. But we're asking, maybe we can mitzvah siman rishon siman sheni, at least to say that the limb is not considered a nevela. Or do we say lo? Amarava, im hoylo siman rishon siman sheni latir bachila. If you are being mitzvah the two simonim to eat the fetus, lo yoylo tarmid nevela, then it certainly should be mitzvah to keep the limb Tahor from Tumas Devei. Boy Rav Yirmiyah. Ma'olachish Lazaro. When an animal, now hechidami, we're talking about the din is that if you find an animal in the womb and it's alive, either after the shechita, either because you cut open the belly or comes out through the vaginal canal, that ben pakua can be eaten without shechita. The fact that shechita doesn't apply to it's deficient in a way. Now, this animal had put its limb out, so it's a ben pakua, but the limb remained prohibited. You couldn't eat that limb. And if a male ben pakua had relations with a female animal, and then they have an offspring, and you want to know whether the fact that the limb that is prohibited sort of is participating in that creation of and maybe we would say it's part of that animal doesn't need shechita, and therefore. But my area idea space say you don't have to ask the question regarding a fetus that stuck its limb out. I feel ben pakua dalmanami. Even a regular ben pakua that is whose limb never went outside, you can't eat. Now, there's a machlokas whether by animals you're meyaches the child after the father or only after the mother. According to the opinion that you're meyaches it after the father as well. For example, regarding you're not allowed to shech the mother and its child on the same day. Well, what about a father in it? So that's a machlokas. There is a Tana that says a father is a father. So ben pakua abal be'imim alayisa avlad ein lo takana. A ben pakua that has relations with any other animal, that vlad, you will not be permitted to eat it if you shecht it. Because part of it's viewed as already being shechted, and that status carries over to the vlad as well. The male ben pakua had relations with a female ben pakua. Ma, do we say aver molid aver? Does the prohibited limb sort of create fatherhood for the exact same limb of the offspring? And therefore, once you cut off that limb, you can eat the rest of the animal. You can't say the father's prohibited limb goes to the limb; it goes to the whole animal, and therefore the whole animal would be prohibited. Hadar Omar, yeah, pshita de mababel zari. There's no shaila. The zera of the father is part of the creation of the whole animal. The imkain. Suma yulid suma. A blind cow would give birth to a blind cow. It doesn't do that. Vikitea yoli kitea. A lame cow will give birth to a lame cow. It doesn't do that. Elapshita mavabel zeri. The zera is mixed. V'achika beboila. Behema ba'amalei. Behema ba'amal lav mikoach chelev v'dam ka'asi v'sharya. Now, chelev of a father is prohibited. Dam of the father is prohibited. Yet, a father that has relations with a female animal and has a vlad, you're allowed to eat it. Hachanami lo shna. O dilma trei yisurim rinan. Chelev and dam are two yisurim. Maybe there we say that the vlad is permitted. But tlasa, the fact that it has a prohibited limb, gives it three yisurim. Chelev, dam, and the prohibited limb. Tlasa lo amrina. And maybe we won't say the vlad is permitted. And ulamat, il Rab Meir, Isra chelev damika, Isra yotze leka. Rab Meir does not prohibit the limb from being eaten when it extrudes it, so there's no Isra at all. You only have two prohibitions, chelev and dam. Il Rabbi Yehuda, who says Isra yotze ika, Isra chelev leka. The Tanya gira nosha noig b'shlil. In a fetus, there is a prohibition of Gida Nosha and Chelev, Div Rab Meir. But Rabbi Yehuda Omer ain't noig b'shlil. There is no Gida Nosha by a fetus, the Chelbo Mutter, and you're allowed to eat Chelev. So you're not going to have three Chelev dam in the prohibited limb according to Rab Meir, Rabbi Yehuda. Elakol mikoach lo amrina. We don't say this concept of the father with a prohibited limb is going to lead to a vlad with some problem. Really, if such an animal has relations with another animal and it's a ben pakua with a prohibited limb, the offspring is shari. If this ben pakua was a female, can you drink the milk? Milk is not like a limb, yet you can drink it. So you could drink it from an animal with a prohibited limb, or no, odilma by a regular animal that makes milk, you can shecht it and eat the whole animal. Here, you can't correct the problem of the limb with shchita. Maybe you can't eat the milk. Teku. If you cut off a piece of the fetus and you left it inside the womb, you can eat it with your shechting the mother. Minolan, t'chsiv v'chol behema mafreses parsa, behema bab hema l'rabos esavlat. That you can eat an animal within an animal through the shechita of the mother. So if it's an animal, elamayati amirubo, you should be able to make a tumura using the fetus. You can't make a tumura to say the kedusha of this limb should go to that uber, or the kedusha of this uber should go to that limb, even if they're whole. So you see that the fetus is not viewed as a sort of a separate animal. Any animal includes the fetus if it's inside, and the shechita of the mother permits it. We learned in our Mishnah that if you cut off, you reach inside the womb and you cut off a piece of the spleen or the kidney, or of the animal itself, those things are usher. If you cut off a part of the fetus and the animal, you can eat both the fetus and the part. If you cut a piece of the spleen or the kidney of the animal itself and you leave it inside, that you can't eat. But that's a pasuk. You can eat the animal when it's whole, but not when it's missing something. If you shecht an animal and you find within it, in the womb, some kind of mutation, it looks like a bird, you should be able to eat it because we found it inside the womb. You can't eat it. Beina prasois veleka, because if it looks like an animal, if it looks like a bird, doesn't have hoofs. You need to have it have hoofs. Elamayata called b'mei par litzer. So if you shecht an animal, you find a cow with joint hoofs, it also should be usher. We've said before you can eat it. Atan Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Shimon Yochai parsa b'vema tochelu. Really, the fetus is considered like an animal. You said, how come you can't make it Tmur? Hamani, Reb Shimoni, to make it Tmur lemaiser. There is no meiser by limbs and fetuses. Av Tmur ain't noeges bevorim v'borim. Umenot Taimra, how do we know it's only Reb Shimon? That says that Evorim and Uborim are exempt from Tmura. It's not. Or Rabbi Yossi. Allah b'mugdashim. When it comes to Hegdish, ha'omer raglo shel zu oila. You take an animal, you say this leg should be an oila. So kula oila. So the kedusha spreads. Af keshomer regel shel zu tachazu. So too, if you say this leg of a Chullin animal should become Tmura, take Kula Tmur Tachtea. It should become a Tmura. And it seems like Rabbi Yossi is arguing with the Tana who doesn't hold like that. Laman Komadar like, who is Rabbi Yossi responding to? It can't be Ilem Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Mislai Svara. They don't hold to that. If a person who says this leg should be an oila, the whole animal's an oila, Talmud Loimar, Kol Asher Yitin Min Lashem Yeh Kodesh, Mimena Kodesh V'lo Kula Kodesh. So they hold that the animal does not become Kulo Hegdish. Yachol Teitze L'Chulin, maybe it shouldn't be Hegdish at all, Talmud Loimar Yeh. Maviyasa Tehei, it shall be a little bit Hegdish. HaKetzad. Timachar L'Tzarchei Oilas, it has to be sold. And the money used for other oila korbanis, V'dameh L'Chulin, the money goes out l'chulin. Chutz min me'ever shaba, except for the limb that was hegdish. Div Rab Meir Rab Yehuda. So they don't bichlal hold that. There's these pashtus of the kedusha from a leg to the rest of the body. So Rabbi Yossi cannot be responding to Rab Meir Rab Yehuda. What's the rest of this price? Rabbi Yossi Rab Shimon Oimrim Malo Oimrim Ragla Shalzu Oila Teikula Oila. If you say the leg of this animal should be an oila, the whole thing is an oila. Talmud Lomer Yiyah Rabbos is Kula. So Laman, who is Rabbi Yossi responding to? Il Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yehuda Miyaslu Asvar. Rabbi Meir don't even hold of that. Ela Lav Rabbi Shimon. And Rabbi Shimon is the one that holds Tamur doesn't work for limbs and uborim. Tamur says low. Rabbi Yossi is not responding to Rabbi Shimon. Rather, Rabbi Yossi Tamid Anavshei Ka'amar. He's giving his own svara. Period. Habevakeres hamaksha lele. You have an animal who's never had children, and it's having difficulty in labor, and it's giving birth to its first. Now, normally, a bechor has kedusha, but that's if it's born. But this isn't. If you cut off leg by leg, limb by limb, you can throw it to the dogs, because until the head comes out or the majority of the animal, it's not a bechor. So therefore, there's no bizoyon throwing it to the klavim. Yotzer rubo, but if it came out the majority, so and then you cut it, then you can't feed it to dogs. Or rather, you cover it's too much bizoyon. And v'nis teres min ha-bechora, it gave birth. Therefore, the next animal would not be a bechor. Itmar. Yotzer shlish. 1/3 of a bechor came out, and quickly the Jew sold it to a goy. Now the next third came out. So now you have 2/3 of the animal born, and therefore it's now a bechor. But what about the first third that you sold? Ravun Amar Kodesh, since 2/3 of it came out, retroactively it's Kodesh, and you can annul the sale. Rabbi Omer ain't a Kodesh, it doesn't have Kedushas Bechor. Let's see how the Gemara explains. Ravuna Amar Kodesh Tsover L'Mafreya Kodesh. Once the 2/3 was born, retroactively, it's a Kedushas Bechor. Kiva the Nafak Le Ruba, because once it came out, majority, Igloy Moshe Mafreya Mikar Kodesh. We now know retroactively that it was destined to be a Bechor. And therefore, my Dezavin Lo Klum Zavin. You can't sell something that's Hegdish, doesn't belong to you. So what was sold is not sold. Rabba Amarena Kodesh. Rabba says it doesn't have no Kedusha. It's only Kedusha now. But what was before, that doesn't go retroactive. Umaydish Zabin Shapir Zavin. Therefore, this is now a partnership, Bechor, partly owned by the Goy, partly owned by the Jew. And there is no Kedushas Bechor when you own the Bechor in partnership with a Goy. We'll learn that again in Bechoros. And Azul Tamayu, Rav Huna and Rabba are consistent. The Itmar. Yotza Shlish Derech Doifen, a third of the fetus came out through a C-section incision. And then Shnei Shlishi Derech Rechem. Then the other 2/3 came out through the vaginal canal. So eventually 2/3 was born in the proper way, but the first third came derech doifen. Reuven Omer Ena Kodesh. It does not have Kedushas Bechor. Rabba Omer Kodesh. Let's evaluate. Reuven Omer Ena Kodesh. Reuven Tamei. Domer L'Mafreyu Kodesh. Retroactively, we see what happens. V'ruba Kama Lesa Berechem. The first 2/3, the majority had not come out through the womb, because half of it came out through the abdominal wall. So it's not a Kedushas Bechor. Rabba Amar Kodesh, Rabba L'Tamei Domer Mikar L'Haba Kodesh. It's when the majority comes out, and it's Kodesh from that time on. So in total, since the Bechor came out 2/3 from the womb, right? Ruba derech rechem nafik, it has Kedushas Bechor. Utzricha. We need the machloikis in both places. Yashmin and Baha. Baha kom Rav Huna mishum de lakula. There, having Kedusha mikan lahaba led to a kula. But in the case where it leads to a chumrah, maybe Rav Huna will agree to Rabba. So you have to tell us that no, even when it leads to a kula, Rav Huna holds of the same case. Okay, very good. Tomorrow, we will also learn at 7:15.
Very
Okay,
good.
then
Thank
Shkoyach.
you. Thank you.
Shkoyach.